We joined the Ramsey birds on a soft gray day. Oh, bless you. They are joined by MJ. Oh no, MJ.
Yeah, that was a bad idea. We just candled that egg and it's fertile. Also, it's been a while since Pippin's had an egg. So he's going to be super defensive of that one. Be careful you don't bug Gus. Gus will also fight you.
Thistle. Yeah, smoochy thistle.
That's a sweet and smoochy thistle. So we're probably going to follow MJ around for a little bit. See what he does. See who he interacts with. MJ is from Rex and Quail's Loft, sired by Alice out of Yuki. His sibling has gone to be a therapy pigeon. And this boy was donated by his breeder to our temperament project. He is a brave and curious young man who I imagine is very excited to be out of quarantine. Eye thistle. Eye thistle, not my nose. Oh. Our setup is a little bit different than the setup that he came from. Hey, buddy. Yeah, that moves. What you think? So we have the big stable perches back here that pigeons can hang out on, and we have two different types of swing. There are these that just kind of swing back and forth that have wide, comfortable square perches, and there's this one that swings in all directions. Some birds enjoy the all direction swing. Some birds enjoy the one direction swing. So there's a little bit of something for everybody. Yeah, that's exciting. But hopefully not scary. Well, oh, shiver boy. Yeah. You work out how that works. What is it boy? Like most of the new birds, he's been mostly up. He'll come down to eat and drink and take advantage of calcium supplements as he feels the need, but right now he's more comfortable being up. And that's okay. What an extravagant descent. And he is standing between a mated pair. Back to the floor. And to have breakfast. at his home loft, babies finish out their baby time with their being socialized with their human caretaker. Most of them move into their room. Because the ideal is to transition them to being house pets. So MJ, I don't think, has had much of an opportunity to be around adult pigeons. So this is going to be a little bit of a learning curve for him. He's clever and brave and felt like a big boy in quarantine because he was always up higher than everyone else. That's because my quarantine space is a stack of 5 hospital cages. And the birds who are closest to moving out move up high. Now there's a reason for this. That's because birds who are new arrive in unknown condition, meaning I don't know if they have lice, I don't know if they have worms or coccidia or trich. And while trich can only really be passed mouth to mouth directly, the other things can be passed by poop and dropped feathers. And feathers and poop are more likely to fall, albeit during those moments where I'm removing the trays for cleaning, but they are more likely to fall down to a lower level than float up to a higher one. So birds who are known to be parasitized are placed lower than birds who are further along in their treatment. By which I mean physically lower, in a lower level cage. Closer to the floor. Look at that boy. Look at that boy. So since he's the bird who's been in our quarantine space the longest up to this point, he had been further along. He had tested negative for worms. We couldn't find any evidence of lice on him, but we give birds we don't see any lice on at least 2 dips just in case. One for whatever adults we can't see, and 1 2 weeks later for whatever eggs those adults we didn't see might have laid. That ensures that when they move in here, they're clean. The entire purpose of the microbiology lab that you see our videos of on this channel is to do in-house throat swabs and fecals on a new bird's arrival. We check fecals first. That's one of the easier samples to get. It's also a less stressful sample for the bird. We don't want to start them off with all the worst things, but when they get here, they get photos taken for our personal records. They get externally checked for lice. They get a fecal exam under the microscope, and then they get a throat swab. We're checking in the fecal exam for adults or eggs from Strongyloides or Capillaria worms. Oh, I know I hear you. How dare I scratch my head? That peep next to my face. You're maybe making friends with Puddin'? Or at least making acquaintances with Puddin'. Possibly also making acquaintances with Farthing. But mostly getting our shaky legs under us. And learning which of these nest boxes it's a bad idea to try and land on. Oh no, Puddin' moved. And that made the swing move. You can see by the bob of his tail that he's not used to having to balance on something like this. His legs are shaking in a way that the pigeons who are raised here are not. Because this has just been part of their development since they could fly. But this is very, very new for him. One of the things that makes pigeons easy to train in a social setting is their vehement opinion that anything you can do, I can do better. So if they see one bird doing this with no problem, they're going to join in until they also can do it with no problem. Ooh, that's starting to hurt my arm, so we're going to switch our focus to the birds on the floor for a minute. I forgot where I left off about quarantine procedures. I know I mentioned the worms that we're looking for. Oh, we're also looking for coccidia and, oh, what's the species? Candida. Candida is a type of yeast. It is the same yeast that causes thrush and yeast infections in humans, and it's incredibly common in the soil. It causes symptoms in the throat nearly identical to Trichomonas, which is the thing that we're primarily looking for in the throat swabs. And Trichomonas is a bit easier to find because if you can find it within 5 minutes of prepping the slide, it's still alive and moving. They die very, very quickly outside body temperature, so they're not a high transmission risk outside of direct mouth-to-mouth contact. But Trichomonas is very, very common in pigeons. And here lately I've found it pretty frequently without the plaques associated with it, so our policy has become to throat swab every new bird. Always. Whether they have a plaque or any other symptoms or not. If we find it, it's usually subclinical, but it's in a low enough concentration that we can just clear it out and be rid of it. Which ensures that birds leave quarantine clean, not an infective danger to their future mates and children. Hi, Sammy. Have a lap, Sammy. Who are you trying to start crap with? No, no one successfully. Looks like Dodger got too close to Ellie. There's that MJ. Hey? Don't go starting shit with Mia. There you go. Now eat food. That's just a cookie, it's okay. Cookie's not interested. So he's trying to gauge what the other birds on the floor are going to do before he relaxes enough to go eat with them. A significant part of social bonding for a pigeon flock is eating together. And y'all remember when Dodger and Alex first started eating with everyone. And now you'll see who they defer to and who they don't. There's some birds, like Vinny, that they give a very, very, very wide berth to. Whereas other birds they'll eat much closer to. Alex is warning Ellie that she can't just force him off. Wing twitching like this means two things in adult birds. It is either courtship or a threat to wing box. And this is not courtship. You can see Ellie taking snaps at both of the feral children. And this is Alex warning that if she tries to force him off of the calcium he needs, he will fight back. This is not an overt threat to start anything with Ellie. This is a warning that if she starts stuff, he's gonna finish it. Ellie is being a particular butt because that box she's standing next to is her favorite one to nest in. There's literally all these other boxes, including this one near the wall that she can have. She just happens to like the one closest to the calcium. There's also all of these boxes. Yep. Lily and Sammy have gotten into it. Oh, Mia appears to have gotten into it with Alex a little bit. Alex is fine. MJ's just jumping down in the middle of this. Mistakes were made. Mia and Ellie get into it over the oyster shell pile pretty often. Because Mia has been craving oyster shell here lately. And, well, so has Ellie. Debating coming back down? We'll set up in a little bit to have a treat time video. Hi, Cookie. That's probably not going to go anywhere. Nope. Even with no one actually approaching them, she always spooks a little bit before he actually finishes. And this past Friday, that has led him to finishing with Ellie. Might be beneficial for Ellie and Vinny to get together. We'll see. Oh, and we have hit the 20-minute mark. So, in addition to our clients, adopters, and apprentices in either small-scale companion breeding or small-scale rescue work, I would like to thank our subscribers here on YouTube, our wonderful patrons on Patreon, the friends of our business page on Facebook, and our followers on Tumblr, Instagram, and Twitter. We are the Ramsey Loft on all platforms. For your support and your contributions, both financial and intellectual. As always, if you have comments on how our financial contributions should be used, please, by all means, leave a comment in the comment section. We will see you in a little bit.